Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's a light. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this afternoon from Nashville Super Speedway. It is the Hypershift Racing League ready to go to battle. They are ready to duke it out here in this one for what's going to be an absolutely wild night of racing action here this afternoon. Each and every one of these drivers going to be looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very, very interesting to see the battles and the grooves and everything else that everyone's going to be trying to run here tonight. So it's going to be a little bit back and forth, a little bit of fuel strategy, a little bit of everything here for these drivers to try to battle here this afternoon to try and put themselves into a winning position here tonight, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to put themselves into that top spot. Who's going to be able to put themselves into that winning position to try and pick up a checkered flag here this afternoon. Now, we do have to quickly minimize this. Bear with us here, chat. We got to open up SDK here. It doesn't seem to want to open for us. Let's get the live timing up and running so that way we have that in our disposable there. There we go. We're back. We're back. We got it. We got it. We got it. Let's make sure we get that going. That was the one thing I was forgetting here as the this is the, let me double check it here. This is, oh man, now I'm drawing a blank here. What is the race name? What is the race name? I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no. What are we? This is the butt kicker. I want to say the butt kicker 175. The butt kicker 175. I could be wrong on that. I may have to open up YouTube real quick and make sure that's what we actually are running here. Let me see if we can get a look at it. Yeah, the AdminBoxx 175. The AdminBoxx 175. That's what we were looking for. That's the one we were looking for. The AdminBoxx 175. That's what we're running here this afternoon. The AdminBoxx 175 this evening from the Hypershift Racing League as the sun has come back out. Practice coming to a close there. Driver's going to jump out onto the racetrack now for their qualifying session. Going to look to try to put themselves up and into victory lane. Michael Carter out there. We already see Tyler Chronister jumping out there on the racetrack. Timothy Watson laying down a great lap time. Jumps into the top of the speed charts here with Adam Boughton up into third now as Jonathan Cogswell with a very good lap time. Cogswell jumps up into the top of the speed charts. Great lap there for that 84 ride. Gage Wenzel into second. Timothy Watson trying to stay there in that second spot here, but looks like he's going to slide back into third as Justin Hendry. Hendry will jump up into third now as Max Cost up into second in his Napa Auto Parts number 63. Boughton all the way back in seventh here as Darrell Johnson qualifies up inside the top 10. He's there in ninth as Anthony Ludi. They're in position number 10. Jaden Newson back there in 14th with Chris Sofeld rounding out our top 15 here in this qualifying session. James Hudson slides out there. He's just in front of Chase Abel there for the 17th and 18th position on the racetrack. Ryan Chronister currently sits in 22nd as here comes Jack Simpson. Simpson slides out there on the speedway. Here comes Zach Wilson as well. Jack Simpson, Zach Wilson, both out there looking to try to lay down some quick times here this evening. Brian Fine jumps out there as well as Corey Dent. Corey out there in that Tiny Toes number 17 ride. It's Hypershift Racing League. Hypershift coming in showing the love here in this one, dropping that thumbs up and the share. 213 Simware coming in with that like in the share as well, and also says good luck everyone, cheering on all these drivers. Denver Henderson coming in with that like on the stream, and my boy Craig Michael Deacon, how are you, Craig, coming in showing the love as well with that like on the broadcast. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the action is just about to get started here in this one as Sean O'Keefe says hello to all. Hello Sean, how are you, brother? How are you doing this afternoon? Says hello from Northern Indiana. Northern Indiana, let's go, baby. That's what's up right there. As Corey jumps up into the 18th position, we see Tyler Chronister currently sitting in position number 14 as Zach Wilson to the top of the speed charts. Wilson with the quick time here in qualifying, knocking Jonathan Cogswell out of that top spot, moving him back one spot. Jack Simpson up and into third. Max Costin, Justin Hendry, our top 5 so far here in qualifying. Michael Carter, Gage Wenzel, Timothy Watson, Scott Shive, and Adam Boughton, our top 10 here in qualifying. Still waiting for maybe a couple drivers to try to lay down lap times here. Brad Fulham not out there on the racetrack to get his lap in, and Dylan Picklesheimer not out there yet as well. We'll wait and see if Dylan Picklesheimer gets to race here tonight or not, or if he's just tuning in and enjoying some racing action here in this one as woo, doggy, this could be a lot of fun. This is a very, very interesting racetrack, a very quick racetrack, and things can happen in a quick hurry. Things can go wrong even quicker out there on the speedway. One wrong move, one slip up out there on the speedway, and you can put yourself into a tough position in a quick hurry here this afternoon. As they're going to get a good look at our starting grid, there is Wilson, Cogswell, Simpson, 1, 2, and 3 here in qualifying, getting ready to start up there at the front of the field, hoping for a good night, a solid night of racing action here this afternoon. As Allie New coming in with that like on the stream as well over there on Facebook. Allie coming in showing the big love here in this one. I appreciate that. Mrs. New coming in showing the love as we do see the 99 ride still rolling out there on the speedway. Still having a little bit of fun out there on the racetrack as we'll get them ready to we'll get ready to go green flag racing here in just a few more moments. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you see your favorite driver, if you see someone that you're hoping to see up in victory lane, up there in that scoreboard, right now is the time. Jump into the comment section, let them know that you're cheering them on, let them know that you want to see them up here in victory lane this afternoon. So cheer those drivers on, get on your feet, and get ready to see some great racing action here from Nashville Super Speedway. As we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to rock and roll. As Kel says, Tiny Toes team, Corey Denk and Dalton Wicker, cheering on Wicker and Corey here this afternoon as we'll get ready to see them duke it out there on the racetrack. We'll get ready to see all of them battle here this evening for what could be a big win here in the middle portion of our season. Starting on the pole, the Rogue number 51. That is Zach Wilson. Wilson will start out in front. Jonathan Cogswell will start back in second. Then we see Jack Simpson there in third. Max Koss rounding out our top four. Justin Hendry there in fifth as Christopher James says, let's go. Lap down racing. I'm not racing due to being gone, unfortunately. Oh, brother, that sucks, Christopher. That sucks, brother. Hey, we're happy to see you up in the chat, though, cheering these drivers on, cheering your teammates on, and at least being able to enjoy some of the racing action here this evening from the broadcast side of things and not out there on the speedway yourself. We can't wait to see that 88 back out there. As Michael Carter will start in position number 6, starting in 7th will be the number 36 rider, Gage Wenzel. Wenzel will start there in 7th. To his outside will be the 28, Timothy Watson. Starting on the inside, our row number 5 on the racetrack, rounding out our top 10. Here this evening, it's Scott Shive in 9th, and the number 94 ride of Adam Boughton. Boughton Evo in that Amazon Prime ride will start there in that 10th position. Starting in 11th in the number, let's take a look back here. I do believe it's the number 9 ride. That's Al Likens who will start there in 11th. To his outside, the Reese's ride. That's Daryl Johnson. Then we see the 95 of Anthony Ludi, the 99 of Tyler Chronister. Then we see Corey Dank, Brian Fine, Michael Sheffield, Chris Zofeld, Jaden Newson, Chase Abel, James Hudson, Dalton Wicker, Ryan Chronister, Gavin Grubbs, Dylan Picklesheimer, Kent Mueller, Drew King, Brad Fulham. Bringing up the rear of the field is 29 drivers getting ready to go to battle here from Nashville Super Speedway, as we will end all the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are quickly green flag racing here with the Hypershift Racing League, as it is the AdminBoxx 175 here this afternoon. Zach Wilson out in front, looking to try to open up a bit of a lead here already on lap number 1. Is Simpson right there behind him, trying to reel him in. That Premier Racing Setups number 24 ride rolls there in second as Zach Wilson will lead lap number 1 here this evening. Simpson back there in position number 2 with Cogswell back there in position number 3. As we see that caution flag come out early on here in this one. I'm not sure where this one may have started, who may have gotten tied up in it, but it looks like Aaron Spear in that Grizzly Monster Energy number 96 ride. Gonna run into some problems here. Oh, the 99 ride of Chronister. Oh no, that's a big hit right there for the 96 ride. Watch this 99 machine right in front of Aaron Spear out there on the speedway. Spear trying to hunt him down, reeling him in here down the back straightaway into corner number 3. Looks like just a little contact right there. Unfortunately, losing the rear end or the front end for the 99. Let's take a look here and see if we can get another angle of this one. See that contact as Tyler Chronister unfortunately just gonna get into this 4 machine here. Right there's the contact, gets that front end loose. The car just shoots back up the racetrack. Unfortunately, the 96 was there to his outside, and that was a big hit there for Aaron Spear. Man, that was a heavy hit. That car is absolutely destroyed. He's got a ton of damage early on trying to get this thing repaired. Let's see if we can jump on board with him, as he's going to be able to see this. He's going to see the contact right there. The 99 gets loose down the racetrack, back up the speedway, and right into his lap. And that's how quickly things can go wrong here in the evening for the 96 rider. Aaron Spear found it the hard way right there. Heavy damage for him, heavy damage for Tyler Chronister. They're both down pit side trying to get their cars repaired. You can see that right front damage. That whole right hand side of that 96 ride has some heavy damage, and he may be down pit road for a little while here. It may be multiple laps here before we see him get back out there onto the speedway. Is out in front, Zach Wilson. He will continue to lead the way here in this one. Jack Simpson back there in second. Cogswell there in third. Justin Hendry there in fourth with Gage Wenzel moving up a couple spots early here in this race. He finds himself now in position number 5. Max Koss down a couple positions back into that 6th spot here on the speedway. And Scott Shive up and into 7th here. Good run so far going for this podium 81 machine out there on the speedway. Is Timothy Watson back there in 8th. Michael Carter there in 9th, already down 3 spots here for Carter, so he'll have to try to get something figured out here here and see if he can get that prime gaming ride. Point it back in the right direction and back towards the front of the field is Adam Boughton Evo right there rounding out our top 10. Daryl Johnson, Al Likens, Brian Fine, Anthony Ludi, our top 14 out there on the speedway with Michael Sheffield in the 17 of Corey Dink back there in position number 15 and 16. Dink trying to work his way up through the field here. Same with his teammate a little farther back is Dalton Wicker. And for Corey Dink, not the starts that they wanted to have here. Definitely not the qualifying efforts that the Tiny Ghost rides were hoping to try to achieve here this evening. And already looks like a little bit of front end damage as well to that 77 ride. So Corey and Dalton definitely going through the thick of it right now, trying to race their way towards the front of the field. As Kinnard Furtick. Kinnard Furtick coming in, says terrible luck for Spear, always caught up in somebody's mess. Yeah, unfortunately Spear definitely has not had any luck here in the first 9 races of the season. He's had some very, very terrible luck, just wrong places, wrong time, and just hasn't really been able to get the finishes that I think that 96 ride really deserves. He's shown a lot of speed. He's had some great laps in some great cars out there on the speedway, and unfortunately just hasn't been able to find that groove out there and hasn't found any luck at all. As here we go, back to Green Flag Racing, the 51 rider Zach Wilson will lead us back down the back straightaway here into quarter number 3. Quickly open up a bit of a lead there, a great restart for him, and now you see Cogswell putting that pressure onto the back bumper of that 24-30 number 24 line. Teammates there now in 2nd and 4th on the racetrack is Gage Wenzel racing his way inside the top 5 here. He's looking underneath that adjust number 54 ride of Justin Hendry and Mr. Wenzel door to door down the back straightaway, but we will see another early caution flag fly. So cautions breeding cautions early on in this one. This time looks like Chris Zofeld may run into some issues here in the tied number 11 ride. Let's take a look here as he's got Dalton Wicker right there in front of him. It looks like the 11 just going to get loose out of quarter number 4. Watches back up the racetrack. Oh, Picklesheimer, nowhere to go right there. Slams into the back end of him there. Heavy damage for that number 45 ride. Good damage for this 11 machine as Zofeld just trying to hit this car rocking and rolling. Just unfortunately right there, just loses the rear end. Tries to correct it. The car slides back up the racetrack. He just locks it up, trying to not drive in front of anybody, and unfortunately for Picklesheimer, really just nowhere for him to go right there. Just trying to run that middle groove, trying to roll out of the throttle here down the front straightaway, and unfortunately there's a car parked right in front of him. He sees them shoot down the racetrack, come back up the speedway, hoping that he's going to go to the wall, and unfortunately just could not get onto the binders quick enough. Did not see that 11 ride go up any higher, and unfortunately stopped basically right there in front of him. Tough break early on for that 45 machine as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to Green Flag Racing as Zach Wilson, he looked really, really good there on that restart. Got a great launch, opened up a couple car length lead right there in that opening lap again. And unfortunately, he's going to have to try to recreate that, try to find that groove again here and see if he can try to jump out in front, see if he can try to pull away and maybe open up a little bit of a lead here this evening. As Wilson, Simpson, Cogswell, Wenzel, and Hendry now rounding out our top 5. Scott Shive, Max Koss, Timothy Watson, Michael Carter, and Adam Boughton still rounding out our top 10 as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Zach Wilson out in front. He's been out in front for quite a few of these races. He's definitely no slouch in trying to find his way into victory lane and looking for another dub here this afternoon as that 51 ride has been hooked up here. Had some terrible luck last week at the road course at Daytona and unfortunately did not get the run or the finish that he was hoping for. But for Zach Wilson, he's looking to try to rebound here this afternoon. Brian Fine looking to try to put himself back up into victory lane after a dominating performance there in that Logan Strong number 57 ride. He was absolutely on fire, man. That car was zooming around Daytona International Speedway there on the road course and picked up a big win there and he's looking to recreate that here in Nashville, seeing if he can try to make it 2 in a row and help him out here in the points battle and for those playoffs here this afternoon, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. Is Zach Wilson out in front? He'll get ready for the restart here. So the 24 ride's going to look for a big jump. Now has his teammate, though, right to his back bumper, so Gage Wenzel could potentially help him here on this restart. Trying to hook up to his back bumper, trying to push him down the front straightaway and into corner number 1 to see if he can try to stay a little bit more even here with that 51 of Zach Wilson, see if they can battle for that race lead and not have to try to play catch-up and try to close that gap and try to reel him in out there on the speedway. And look at him all ready to rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you came here for a show. Well, here you go after a couple early caution flags here in Nashville. See if we can get some good green flag laps underneath us here. See if we can roll some laps. See if we can get some good racing out there on the speedway. And see if these drivers can put themselves into a position to start to use some of this pit strategy. Whether it's during the caution flag or if it's down during the green flag pit stops as well. It's going to be very, very tight on fuel. Drivers are going to have to be very cautious about that. Not only the fuel mileage, but also those tires. As here we go, back to green flag racing. Wilson, another good restart. Quickly slides up and clears that 24. Got a couple car lengths down between him and that 24 through corner number 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. He's going to look to try to stretch that lead out even more as Gage Wenzel try to take position number 3 away here from Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell not going to give it up easily though as they battle door to door down through quarter 3 and out of 4. And they are still tight together as everyone this time down and out of quarter number 4. Looks like everyone will keep their cars pointed in the right direction and we'll keep it clean and green there for at least a lap here this afternoon. So these guys looking to try to get things a little bit more settled down. A lot of racing, a lot of laps left to go, a lot of ups and downs that can happen in a heartbeat out there on the speedway. And for those drivers that have already ran into problems, have already gotten damage and had some issues and having to make some additional trips down pit side, you don't got to worry too much. There's still a lot of racing left to go. There's still a lot of opportunities to try to battle your way back into contention, put yourself back into a position to try to race your way back up to the front of the field. As Zach Wilson out in front just laid down the fastest lap time of this race. Wilson out in front looking to try to just pull away with this one. Jack Simpson there in second here. He's trying to hunt him down, but maybe playing a little bit of strategy here as well. We're going to see the tire fall off here this afternoon. It's going to be quite impressive to see how these drivers are going to handle their cars, handle the tires and the fuel mileage here this evening. Their calculators are going to be working overtime. They're going to be working overtime in that car as this concrete really chews up those tires, and we'll see this pace fall off quite a bit as now we just saw a new quick time out there on the racetrack. Quick time now goes to that 28 ride, Timothy Watson, with an absolutely amazing lap here. Quickly jumps up to the top of the board there for the fastest lap of the day. And for the Halvoline 28 ride, he's hoping to stay there all evening long as he's showing some good speed early on. Definitely has that short run speed in that number 28 machine and looking to try to make some moves here as unfortunately Jonathan Cogswell starting to slide backwards here a little bit. Cogswell, who started in position number 2, already down 3 spots, potentially going to go down 4 spots if Timothy Watson can complete that pass, but he's got some door-to-door action right there in front of him. Jack Simpson and Justin Hendry, they're battling here for that 3rd position on the racetrack as Gage Wenzel up and into second here. Now they're all trying to hunt down that 51. Unfortunately, they already have a 1-second gap between themselves and our race leader, Zach Wilson. So for Wenzel, Justin Hendry, all these drivers back there in tow, trying to hunt down that 51 right again here this afternoon. As Michael Carter there in 7th, Brian Fines worked his way up into 8th now, up 7 spots early on in this race. So Brian Fine looking good again here this evening, looking to recreate his run from last week where he was able to find victory lane. We'll see if he can do it again here this evening. Scott Shive, who was moving forward there in those first couple runs before those caution flags, was able to gain a couple positions out there on the racetrack. That time, though, unfortunately gives it all back and slides back into position number 9 on the racetrack. Is Max Koss there in 10th. Then we see Adam Boughton, Al Likens, Michael Sheffield, and Corey Dank rounding out our top 14 as Sheena Newsom. back there in position number 15. Jaden trying to get that ASL number 40 right up towards the front of the field is Daryl Johnson, Anthony Ludi in the Adidas 213 Simwear, number 95 right up to the front here as well. He's down 4 spots early on and up 6 positions. Right there behind him is the other Tiny Toes right out there on the racetrack, even with that front end damage. The Tiny Toes number 77 of Dalton Wicker up into the 18th position as Chase Abel right there behind him. Chase looks like he's got a little bit of right front damage on that number 7 right, potentially getting into somebody or potentially into that outside fence here in Nashville is the Noble American. Number 7 right trying to race his way up to the front here, just inside the top 20 right now. Is Gavin Grubbs back there behind him, rounds out our top 20. There we see Kent Mueller back in position number 21. James Hudson there in 22nd. Brad Fulham there in 23rd with Ryan Chronister, Drew King, Dylan Picklesheimer, Tyler Chronister, Chris Sofeld, and Aaron Spear bringing up the rear of the field here. Looks like Spear has taken his car down behind pit wall, getting extreme repairs done to that 96, and for Chris Sofeld has that good right-hand side damage as well on his car. Tyler Chronister still probably a little bit of damage there to the right front of his race car into the front end of the 45 right up. Dylan Picklesheimer looks like he's got that car fairly repaired and looking pretty decent out there. Doesn't look like too much damage here after he got into the back end hard of that 11 ride during that second caution flag. Some great racing action all around the speedway, but everybody's trying to chase down this 51 ride. As out in front, it is Zach Wilson. Wilson continuing to lead the way here in Nashville as he's got about a 1.3 second lead. 1.3 seconds here between them, and now we start to see this long green flag run start to form here. Starting to see some good laps being laid down by these drivers, but the tire fall off already starting to become a little bit noticeable here. Driver is no longer able to run their quick lap times here. They're down about about 0.3 of a second so far, but really we've only seen a couple handfuls, maybe 10 laps or so of green flag racing. So in those 10 laps, already starting to see that tire fall off, and as we continue on putting down green flag laps, the more and more that these tires are going to get worn out. These cars are going to get harder to drive. Your car is going to start to handle a whole lot differently, especially with those tires falling off. You're going to be starting to slip and slide out there on the concrete. You're going to have your hands full trying to keep yourself alive, trying to keep your car out of trouble there on the speedway. And for drivers that may be trying to play that strategy game a little bit more aggressively, trying to keep themselves, a little bit more at bay if they're on the speedway with, trying to just hang back a little bit, let the race kind of come to them, not push the issue early on, save those tires, let these other drivers maybe pull away, pull out in front by quite a bit, and then as their tires fall off, they can start to come back to you. If you just keep hitting your marks, keep hitting those numbers, and keep these tires underneath of you for a longer period of time, you could definitely start to leapfrog a lot of these drivers. As Zach Wilson leads the way, Gage Wenzel back there in second. It's 1.5 seconds now the gap between first and second. Justin Hendry trying to hold on to that third spot here as once again he's got Jonathan Cogswell down to his inside. Cogswell looking to try to take that third spot back away from that 54 machine, and here comes the 28 of Timothy Watson. Watson now inside the top 5, rolls there in that 5th position, but looking to try to pick up a couple more spots and some fast cats right there in front of them. There we see Jack Simpson sliding back into that 6th position. Brian Fine now up into 7th here, started back in 15th, so early on he's up 8 spots on the racetrack. Adam Boughton there in 8th with Michael Carter, and Max Koss rounding out our top 10. Michael Sheffield back there in 11th with Scott Schaff unfortunately falling outside the top 10 now. That podium number 81 back into position number 12. Al Likens there in 13th with Corey Denk there in 14th. Then we see Anthony Looney rounding out our top 15, trying to make that pass there for the 15th position around Jaden Newson. Unfortunately going to fall back into position number 16 as he's got Daryl Johnson looking to try to hunt him down. Ken Mueller there in 18th. Chase Abel and Gavin Grubbs rounding out our top 20 there on the racetrack. Brad Fulham there in 21st with James Hudson, Dylan Picklesheimer, Ryan Chronister, Dalton Wicker back in 25th, Drew King, Tyler Chronister, Chris Sofeld, and Aaron Spear bringing up the rear of the field here this afternoon. Some great racing action already here in this race. These drivers have been putting on a heck of a battle here. Now, I don't know if we're going to have stage breaks or not here this afternoon. I don't know if I saw anywhere in the schedule or if I saw anything in the other stuff. It doesn't show me on the schedule, the flyer, on what the stages are going to be. So that's an interesting one right there. I'm not too sure on where we're going to see these stages happen, where we're going to see drivers have to come down pit side, or when they're going to have to try to make these stage breaks out there on the speedway. It's going to be fun nonetheless to kind of find out, see another caution flag, see these drivers get bound back together, but also looking to try to get some some fuel, some tires, some different strategy games being played out there, some different head games being played by these drivers here this afternoon as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they're going to be able to do, who's going to be able to have that fast car for a longer period of time, especially if we start to see some long green flag runs starting to brew here as our race leader Zach Wilson starting to stretch that race lead almost to 2 seconds between himself and Gage Wenzel. But the car moving forward right now is this 57 of Brian Fine. Now up and into third as he's able to get around Cogswell and Justin Hendry, and it looks like potentially going to bring that 94 ride of Adam Boughton right there with him. Boughton's going to follow him right on through and up into position number 4. As there is Jonathan Cogswell back in that 5th spot here. He's got that 54 of Justin Hendry. Jack Simpson right there on their back bumper as Simpson's starting to try to work his way back up towards the front of the field as some drivers look like they're really starting to struggle. The tire fall off really starting to become a major factor here for some of these cats like Timothy Watson, who showed a lot of speed early in this race, but now starting to fall a little farther backwards. The handling of that car starting to fade away. Is Haynes Kev? What's good, Kev? How are you, brother? Haynes Kev coming in, showing the love, says can't make the 3-peat this week, just the 2 night races. Hey, Kev, that's all that matters, brother. That's all that matters, and seeing you out there on the racetrack at least once, maybe twice every week is always awesome to see, man, for the weekend racing, and seeing you out there on the racetrack, duking it out in the Premium Stock Car Racing League, and also duking it out over there in the Wheel-to-Wheel or the Outcast Racing League, man. Always a lot of fun seeing you out there on the speedway and trying to get some good runs, great finishes, and we saw your teammate pick up a win there last weekend. Maybe this weekend, maybe in one of those 2 races, we'll see you up in victory lane as well as Zach Wilson. He's looking for victory lane here, but now you're starting to really see that tire fall off. Drivers that were pushing the subject run a little quicker early on in this race now starting to struggle as Gage Wenzel starting to hunt down that race leader, starting to close that gap between himself and Zach Wilson on the racetrack. It's not a whole lot, but a little bit lap by lap, starting to inch away out of here as they got about a 1.7 gap between here from Wenzel back to Adam Boughton, as Boughton able to make quick work there of Brian Fine as well. Fine falls back into 4th here. Hendry back there in 5th. Michael Sheffield racing his way up through the traffic. He now rolls there in 6th with Jack Simpson, Jonathan Cogswell in the 81, a Scott Shive door to door there. That's for the 8th position. Then you see Corey Denk. Corey starting to race his way up towards the front here as well. Now inside the top 10 in that Tiny Toes number 17 as he rolls there now in the 9th position as he rolls right around the outside of Cogswell. Cogswell now back into the 10th spot here on the speedway. He's got Watson, Carter, Ludi, and Al Likens all right there behind him in that 63 of Max Koss. Koss unfortunately falling all the way back into position number 15 on the racetrack is Daryl Johnson, Ken Mueller, Jaden Newson, Brad Fulham, Gavin Grubbs, Dylan Picklesheimer, Chase Abel, and the 2 of James Hudson back there trying to hunt him down. Ryan Chronister and Tyler Chronister there in 24th and 25th. And then we see Dalton Wicker here. Wicker way off the pace here, unfortunately, all the way back in 26 on the racetrack. I'm assuming that front end damage is hindering the performance in the drive out of that Tiny Toes 77. Ryan definitely not the spot he wants to be in right now. Could quickly try to flip the stages here. Maybe he was trying to just save some fuel, save some tires here, and see if he could try to do something special as we see the caution flag come out and Chase Abel turned around here. Chase Abel down through the infield grass, going to bring that caution flag out. Let's take a look at it here. See if there's any contact. Looks like there may have been. Gavin Grubb's going to get into the back end of him right here. There's the contact. Gets him sideways, bounces him around. Now he's trying to keep that car from going around. Still unbalanced, unfortunately. Just can't keep the handle. The damage there on the race car down the front straightaway. That car will go for a loop-de-loop. He'll get stopped there on the front stretch, and that's where our officials will throw that caution flag as the noble American ride pointed in the wrong direction, going for those loop-de-loops there, having those issues. Now trying to get this car repaired, trying to let the pace car go by him here, as I do believe it's going to score him as a lap down out there on the speedway. You know, luckily enough, he is in that free pass position, but using up those tires, using up that fuel, he's going to have to hope to see if he can either get a lucky dog or a wave around right here and try to put himself back on the lead lap and still have time to maybe go down pit side and get a green flag or a caution flag pit stop in here, as everybody's headed down pit road. Everyone wants those fresh tires. Everyone wants some fuel into their rides and see if they can get locked and loaded here for the rest of this race and potentially still having a few more trips down pit road here for these drivers. We're only about 100 laps left to go here, so I'm assuming we're going to see probably at least 2 more pit stops for each and every one of these drivers out there on the speedways. That 51 came down pit road with the race lead. Looks like he will leave pit road with the race lead there, so a great pit stop for the 51 of Mr. Wilson, as we'll get each and every one of these drivers ready to go back to green flag racing, ready to duke it out here once again on Peacemaker Gaming. As man, oh man, this could be a lot of fun. Another big restart, another opportunity for drivers to try to advance their positions, try to work themselves a little closer to the front of the field. Drivers that may have been on a bit of a different strategy, a different strategy right there, potentially knowing that, you know, their opportunities here could be far and few in between it, and having these caution flags, having these extra opportunities to come down pit road, get some fuel, get some tires, and maybe get some adjustments. When you look back at a driver like Dalton Wicker, usually up there towards the front of the field, battling hard out there on the speedway. Now he was down pit side for an extended period of time here. I do believe trying to get that front end damage repaired. That could be what was hindering his drive here out there on the racetrack, and you do see that repair being placed in that car back into one piece. Looks like they've got that thing back into good working order, and we'll see if the handling is still there, if they got to do any more work underneath the hood to try to get him back into the action here this afternoon. Tyler Chronister down there as well, still trying to get that 99 repaired. Chris Sofeld down there trying to get his car repaired, and same with that 7 ride of Chase Abel, is able to score back in 28th on the speedway. Aaron Spear, unfortunately, an early exit there for the Monster Energy number 96 ride, and unfortunately down and out of this race early on, as we're going to get into our Monster Energy right now as well. Shout out to Monster, favorite right here, man. The Monster Energy rehabs the tea and lemonade. These things are fire. They are so good. They keep us hydrated and just on point here for each and every one of these broadcasts. We can't shout out Monster Energy enough for... Oh, that's so good. For not being a sponsor, but for being an amazing company and bringing us the caffeine fix that we need, and such an amazing flavors and so many great deals out there as well for Monster Energy. So shout out there for them as we go back to green flag racing here at Nashville Super Speedway. It's Zach Wilson. Once again, another great restart, quickly clearing that outside lane, nice and easy down through corner number 1 and out of corner number 2. Here in Nashville as Wilson leads the way. It's Gage Wenzel there in second, trying to hunt him down. Adam Boughton, Evo up and in the third, as here comes Brian Fine, Jack Simpson, and the rest of the Hypershift Racing League. As Wilson once again back down across the line will lead another lap here. He has been the only driver out in front so far to lead a lap this afternoon. 40 laps into the history book, still a lot of racing action left to go here from Nashville Super Speedway. And that 51 ride, he's looking to be that reflection of perfection, trying to keep all these drivers back there at bay, but I think he's going to have his hands full here in a quick curry. He's at 36 right at Gage Wenzel right there behind him, trying to put the pressure onto his back bumper. Here comes Boughton, here comes Fine. Jack Simpson rounds out our top 5 with Michael Sheffield, Scott Shive, Corey Denk. Then we see Michael Carter, Al Likens rounding out the top 10 as they're 3 wide. right here at Nashville. 3 wide racing. Back there for that 9th position on the racetrack. Cogswell, Likens, and that number 54 of Justin Hendry, all right there duking it out. Now you see the 28 ride of Timothy Watson. He's looking to try to take advantage there as the 54 had to roll over the throttle, realized that they were 3 wide and trying to keep himself out of trouble. Unfortunately rolled out of that throttle, lost a little bit of momentum and opened up the door here for that Halloween 28 ride to get to his outside and battle door to door with him now once again for position number 12. As Anthony Ludi back there in position number 14, he sees that battle. He's looking to close in and make that a 3-car fight for that 12th position as Darrell Johnson rounds out our top 15. Ken Mueller, Max Koss, they're side by side back there in 16th and 17th as Dylan Bickelsheimer, who got tied up in a early caution flag, has gotten that car repaired in. He's now up 10 position and rolling there in the 18th spot. Brad Fulham also up 10 spots on the racetrack. He's there in 19th with Gavin Grubbs. They're in 20th as Kent Mueller running into issues here in that Milwaukee Brewers number 8 ride. Slides back now into that 20th spot. It's Jaden Newsom. Dalton Wicker in the 77 back there in 22nd. Then we see Tyler Chronister, Ryan Chronister, Drew King, Chris Sofeld, Chase Abel up into 27th. James Hudson back there in 28th. And Aaron Spear bringing up the rear of the field. But out in front, we do see a pass for the race lead. Unfortunately for Wilson, he has finally been passed here this afternoon as he falls all the way back to 5th here on the racetrack. Is Gage Wenzel, who was able to take that race lead away, but he's got Adam Belton right down to the inside. They're door to door down across the line. Belton on the inside. Wenzel there on the outside. They're duking it out here in Nashville for the race lead this afternoon. Wenzel trying to hold him off. Belton trying to take it away from him. He's got Brian Fine and Michael Sheffield. Have yourself a day here for Sheffield up inside the top 4. He is battling hard out there on the racetrack right now, laying down some great lap times and sticking right there in that fight as here comes Wilson trying to rejoin it here. Wilson right there is our top 5. Now slowly but surely our top 6 could be potentially door to door out there on the racetrack at the front of the field battling, but here they go. They wash up the racetrack ever so slightly, and here comes Brian Fine. Fine down to the inside. They're 3 wide there for a split second for the race lead, but a good drive down into corner number 3 for that 36. Gage Wenzel able to hold them off as the one ride of, oh man, Sheffield trying to poke his nose into that battle there to the outside of the 94 ride. Luckily enough, backed out of it there as the 94 came up to the outside fence. They could have got that number 1 sandwich up there into the wall in a quick hurry, but he was quick to realize that, rolled out of the throttle. Unfortunately gonna not get the run that he was hoping for, not being able to steal a couple spots out there on the racetrack, and now is at risk of losing a position as Zach Wilson back down to his inside. And here comes that 24 line of Jack Simpson right there, as well as Simpson and Wilson trying to race their way back up to the front of the field here this afternoon. But it's all Gage Wenzel as Wenzel able to take that race lead away in the Tom's Tasty Taters and Fish Sandwiches to 24-30. Number 36 Ryan rolling there in that top spot now on the racetrack. Belton able to clear Brian Fine. Fine slides back there into 3rd here as the 94 trying to hold on to that 2nd position. Fine now having some issues here himself as he fell back into line behind that 94. Now you do see that one of Michael Sheffield rolling quickly to his outside. Sheffield looking to go door to door down into corner number 1, looking to see if he can clear that 57 and steal position number 3 away from Brian Fine out there on the racetrack. Zach Wilson back there in that 5th position, just hanging in this battle here. Hasn't really fallen too far back, but I know he would love to try to get back to the front of the field here. Jack Simpson there in 6th, Scott Shine up into 7th. Jonathan Cogswell, Justin Hendry, and Al Likens rounding out our top 10 out there on the racetrack. Is Timothy Watson, Corey Dank, Michael Carter, Darrell Johnson, and Anthony Ludi round out our top 15. Max Koss, Dylan Bickelsheimer, Brad Fulham, Dalton Wicker up into 19th here. So it looks like that damage repair has gotten this 77 ride a little bit more life into it. We saw him before that caution flag back in that 25th, 26th position. Was way off the pace, wasn't running very good lap times, but now for Dalton Wicker, starting to turn up the wick here, starting to turn up that heat. And here he is trying to race his way inside the top 15 as he rolls back in the 19th position. And Gavin Grubbs right there behind him is Ken Mueller. Ryan Chronister in the 99 back there in 22nd. Drew King in that beautiful number 34 rolls there in 23rd. Ryan Chronister, Jaden Newston now running out our top 25 with the two of James Hudson, Chris Sofeld, Chase Abel, and Aaron Spear bringing up the rear of the field here this afternoon. As out in front is Gage Wenzel, who continues to lead the way, but that lead has evaporated. He opened up about 6-7 car lengths between himself and that 94 ride, but that gap is starting to shrink here once again. Adam Belton trying to hunt him down, looking to try to make this a great race at the front of the field here once again, and not allowing this 36 to really just pull away, and you do see that 51 of Zach Wilson able to steal that 4th spot back away from Brian Fine. So Fine rolls back into that 5th spot on the speedway, and Wilson trying to race his way back up to the front of the field here. Starting to put the pressure a little bit onto the back bumper there of that one ride of Michael Sheffield, as Sheffield rolls there in position number 3, but it's all Gage Wenzel. Wenzel continuing to lead the way as these drivers put on one heck of a show for us here again this evening. Some great racing action, and you see that 36 get a little bit loose. Here comes the 94. It's going to be Adam Belton taking the race lead back away. So Belton out in front leading this race as he's able to make the pass around Gage Wenzel. Wenzel now sliding back into second here into the clutches of Michael Sheffield, and Zach Wilson is there right there ready to strike, but he's not giving up yet. He's continuing to stay on the back bumper of our race leader here, making sure that Belton, if he takes that race lead, if he's going to lead the way, he's got to be picture perfect out there on the racetrack, and if he makes that one slip up, that 36 is going to be looking to try to take this race lead back away from him. As Belton up through the middle here in quarter 1 into the 36, hugging that yellow line out there on the racetrack. They're going to go door to door. They make a little bit of contact right there. They both have to roll out of the throttle now. Here comes that 51 of Zach Wilson down to the inside. Wilson down low. He'll look to make the move around that 36 as they made a little contact there. He got a little tight, pushed up the racetrack down through the middle of 1 and 2. Almost took out our race leader, the 94 of Adam Belton. Luckily enough, he's able to keep on racing. Everyone able to stay pointed in the right direction, but for the 36 rolling out of the throttle there, open up the door there for him to get leapfrog quickly by that 51 of Wilson and that one ride of Michael Sheffield as Brian Fine now to his outside, looking to take position number 4 away from that 36 machine as Wenzel sliding backwards here after that move. The 24 of Jack Simpson rolls there in position number 6 with Jonathan Cogswell, Al Likens, Timothy Watson, and Scott Shive rounding out our top 10 there on the racetrack. But it's Belton out in front as they're still door to door back there behind them for position number 2. It is Wilson and Sheffield side by side, the 51 and the number 1 ride, both battling for position number 2, and it looks like Sheffield will take it away. Sheffield down into corner number 3, got a great run, quickly drove down to the inside of the racetrack and cleared that 51 of Zach Wilson. Wilson now trying to battle here with Brian Fine as Fine to his outside, trying to take back position number 3 here on the speedway. They also got Gage Wenzel right there. You make one slip up, one mistake, and Wenzel could be right back into the thick of things. Same with that 24 ride of Jack Simpson, who's been hanging around these top 5 drivers for quite a little while. Not too far back, but right there ready to strike. And if they've been burning up their equipment, if they've been running a little too tough out there on the speedway, he could potentially have some better tires, just trying to stay out of that contact, stay out of that fighting there at the front of the field as Al Likens trying to close the gap, trying to hunt them down. Same with Jonathan Cogswell. Timothy Watson a little farther back there in 9th, and then Scott Shive trying to hold on to a top 10 run here. Shive in that podium, number 81, rolls in that 10th position, but he's got that 54 of Justin Hendry, that number 18 ride of Michael Carter, Anthony Ludy, Corey Denkin, Darrell Johnson, all trying to hunt him down as Johnson still riding out our top 15. There you see Dylan Picklesheimer and that 77 ride of Dalton Wicker rolling now into the 17th position. So good to see this Tiny Toe 77 ride starting to come to life though on the second run. Obviously not the pit stopper, not the run or the early look, the early luck that he was looking for in that 77 ride, as that early damage obviously hindering the performance in the drive of that 77 57 car. Luckily enough, we were able to get that other caution flag. He was able to come down pit side, get that repaired, get that car fixed up, and back out there on the racetrack, and now racing back up to full speed, full song and bird out there on the speedway, and trying to work his way inside the top 15 out there on the racetrack. As Adam Belton continues to lead the way, he's actually starting to stretch out a little bit of a lead here, about half a second now between himself and that one ride of Sheffield. As Sheffield trying to hold on to that second position, as Brian Fine once again looking to try to take it away from him here. Fine's been having a heck of a run. Same with Sheffield here this afternoon. Zach Wilson, we saw lead the first 40-plus laps of this race. Once he got past, got shuffled back into about that 5th position. Then he's been battling back right here. Back into 3rd, back into 4th, back into 5th, and unfortunately hasn't been able to race his way back to the point here this evening. Same thing happened to Gage Wenzel. Once he kind of got slipped up, got past, fell back into that 5th spot, and still hanging out right there in position number 5, but trying to hunt down that 51 ride, and his teammate right there behind him, Jack Simpson. He's been sitting there just lurking in the background, and you did see a pretty big gap between these guys in that 9 ride of Al Likens. Likens has been really closing the gap here, chasing them down, hunting them down out there on the speedway for the Napa Auto Parts. Number 9 ride looking like he may have found something here, and that car has really come to life, really started to make some big moves, and now trying to race his way up to the back bumper of the 24. Jack Simpson seeing if he can try to race his way into this battle up at the front of the field, as Brian Fine able to make that pass, get around Michael Sheffield. Sheffield slides back into 3rd here, is now, there you go, open door down low for Gage Wenzel. Wenzel, oh man, if he got that run that he was looking for out at corner number 2, potentially could have gotten that move around this 51 ride of Zach Wilson for position number 4 on the racetrack. But still has to settle back in once again, but here we go, another attempt at it down the front straightaway, looking to get to that left rear quarter panel, looking to try to side draft a little bit and bring that 51 ride back. Unfortunately, just couldn't quite get there. He was oh so close, but just couldn't quite get his car to that left rear quarter panel. But here he goes again, gonna try it down the back straightaway, see if he can get that side draft, see if he can make that move. Oh man, he's so close. He's gonna try it again down low here in corner number 3 and 4. This is where he seems to be a little bit better than that 51, and this time looks like he will be door to door with Wilson here. And now we're going to see them battle back down the front straightaway here into quarter number 1 as the laps continue to get clicked down. We inch closer and closer to our checkered flag here as we're rolling closer to about halfway through this race here. We're about halfway in, halfway to go this afternoon. They're clicking the laps up in a quick hurry with some great green flag racing here. And green flag pit stops could be on the horizon in a quick hurry. As drivers, it's been about 30 laps since we saw them down pit side here, so fuel definitely could start to become an issue. Tire wear start to become a problem for some of these drivers. It's been about a second of fall off here since that drop of the green flag there for this second little run here, the second good green flag run of the evening. Now with 30 laps under their belt, and these tires starting to fade away. Drivers going to continue to run into some handling issues. We'll wait and see who's got the best long race speed out there on the speedways. Here comes that 51, looking back down low, trying to make his way around Sheffield. Sheffield still just trying to battle strong here to the outside of that 51 ride. Gage Wenzel's right there as well. He may try to poke his nose, maybe even try to go 3 wide here for position number 3. Is Adam Belton out in front, trying to pull away from everybody else. He's opened up about 9/10 of a second between himself and Brian Fine, but Fine rolling right there in P2, trying to hunt him down. Now they've got a little bit more of a gap here between Fine and that 3rd place battle. Is Zach Wilson about a second and a half back from that 57, about 2 1/4 seconds back from our race leader Adam Belton. We'll have to wait and see if Wilson had something left in the tank there, maybe just trying to play that tire strategy game there through the start of that second run here this afternoon. As Gage Wenzel there in 4th, Michael Sheffield trying to hang on to 5th as Jack Simpson. Al Lincoln's right there, rounding out our top 7. These guys, you can still see them duking out, battling out there, not wanting to give up an inch on the speedways. Timothy Watson back there in position number 8. Michael Carter, Anthony Ludi rounding out our top 10. Dylan Picklesheimer, he's up into position number 11. Corey Dank right there with him in that 12th spot on the speedways. Darrell Johnson, Justin Hendry, and Dalton Wicker now rounding out our top 15. So for Wicker, where that caution flag was hanging out, probably back in about that 26th, 27th position. Now up inside the top 15, looking to continue to race that Tiny Toes 77 right up towards the front of the field here, and hoping that his teammate Corey D can continue his march towards the front here as well, just outside the top 10 here for that 17 ride in the Tiny Toes machines. Starting to look like they got some good long run speed here, and we'll have to wait and see if they can race their way up here into the battle for the race win this afternoon. As Adam Boughton continues to lead the way. Boughton out in front as we are officially over halfway through this race. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers in the comment section right now. Make sure you hit that like, follow, and subscribe button. Make sure you guys become part of the Peacemaker family here today as the Hypershift Racing League duking it out here in the AdminBoxx 175 from Nashville Super Speedway. Some absolutely amazing racing action. These drivers put on one heck of a show for us here this afternoon, and every single like, comment, and share helps push the stream out to more amazing viewers to bring in more fans into the stands to cheer these drivers on here this afternoon. But let's crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for all these drivers. This is a beautiful crank it up session here this afternoon from Nashville Super Speedway is out in front, leading this race. It's the 94 of Adam Boughton. Boughton continuing to lead the way. That is the gap between first and second. You see them both there on the racing surface. Boughton out in front, 8/10, almost 9/10 of a second between himself and Brian Fine. That is the race for the race lead here this afternoon as Boughton continue to lead the way. Brian Fine there in second. A little farther back, about 2 seconds behind this 57, it's Zach Wilson. Wilson rolling there in position number 3, and Likens back there in position number 4. Timothy Watson now running out our top 5 is Michael Sheffield there in 6. Anthony Ludy up and into 7th with Scott Shive. Dylan Picklesheimer and Gage Wenzel back there in position number 10. Now, a lot of drivers came down pit road at different areas here during this set of green flag pit stops. So drivers trying to use fresh tires to their advantage. Drivers trying to use the longer run here to maybe try to give them some better tires later in this race, and that could be a huge benefactor out there on the speedway. If you can time things right, if you can hit your marks and keep yourself out of trouble there on the speedway, you could potentially try to race your way up and into victory lane. As Gage and a lot of these drivers that were on that later run strategy still having to try to close a big gap here, trying to catch up to those race leaders is going to take more than just a little bit of effort here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, these guys put on one heck of a show for us. As Linda O'Keefe, Linda says, come on Gage, you can do this. Sean O'Keefe says, okay, 36, time to go get him. Stephanie says, go get him, Gage, cheering on Mr. Wenzel out there on the speedway. As this time by the start finish line, lap number 99 will get clicked off onto the board here. That means we are now on to lap 100. Here this evening at the completion of this lap, we'll have 37 laps of racing action left here this afternoon. Now, drivers did make it about 50 laps or so. Some drivers even a little bit more going down pit side for Jack Simpson on lap number 93. So it seems like you can probably make it on fuel for about 40 laps or so, maybe a little bit more. That's going to make things very, very interesting. If you can only run 45 laps at maximum for all these drivers, that means they're going to have to make at least one more trip down pit road here this afternoon. That means one more time they're going to have to come down pit side, get some repairs, get their cars fixed up. Now, for a driver like Jack Simpson, maybe you try to save a little bit of fuel and see if you can extend that run by just a little bit and see if you can make it to the end here without having to come back down pit side again this afternoon. That could be a big, big play there for the 24 ride out there on the speedway, as he was one of the last drivers to come back down pit road here during those green flag pit stops, and for the 93 machine finds himself back there in position number 12. Now, he does have the best tires on the racetrack, but he would have to virtually run, 37, about 44 laps of green flag racing. So he's going to be right there. It's going to be tight on fuel, but if he can time things perfectly here, try to use those French tires now, try to get a good run, and see if he can save a little bit of that fuel for late in this race, potentially could make this, could have made that his last pit stop out there on the racetrack. For a lot of these other drivers, I think it's going to be too close for comfort here, and a lot of these cats are probably going to have to come down pit side before the end of this race, but you just never know. You never know. Maybe they can make it to the end, but a lot of these drivers, they're going to have to virtually go almost 50 laps here this afternoon. About 50 laps. 49, 50 laps or so on this tank of fuel, so they're going to be using a lot of gas out there. It's going to be very, very tough to do, especially with potentially no caution flags, with no yellow flags, no fuel saving under yellow. You know, it's going to get very, very tight for a lot of drivers, and we may see some of them having to make additional pit stops here this evening. And for Adam Boughton, he may have already realized that, maybe coming down pit side a little bit too quickly here this evening. He's rolled off the pace and has allowed Brian Fine to close that gap. Fine right there in position number 2. The gap is now less than half a second between first and second, and as they continue to roll there in that top 2 spots on the racetrack. It's Zach Wilson back here in position number 3. That's slowly but surely starting to catch up to them as he rolls around some of the lap traffic there. That's unfortunate break for our Drew King as he's now a lap down in that 34 line. But right now he is sitting in that free pass position. He is currently in that lucky dog spot. If no one else goes a lap down here in the next little bit, and we do see that caution flag fly, he could potentially be the lucky dog and put himself back onto the lead lap. It's Tyler Chronister right there. Sits back in 21st now. Not a huge gap between himself and our race leaders for that lap down driver there, and could potentially fall a lap down himself. That Walmart number 99 right there's the gap between first and himself, as it's not very far away. They're less than half a straightaway back from this 99 ride, and could potentially put him in lap down as well. And not too far in front of him is this 44 Farms number 84 rider Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell started off this day having a great qualifying effort, starting up there on the front row for the 84 ride. All of a sudden he's back here in 20th, not the place he wants to be late in this race. Same with Michael Carter. He's down 13 positions, rolling there in position number 19. Now he's trying to make the move around that 2 ride, unfortunately for the 2 machine. That is James Hudson. He is a lap down, maybe even multiple laps down now on the racetrack here. Same with Jaden Newsom. Newsom finds himself a lap down. Same with Daryl Johnson. Chris Sofeld chasing Evil a lap down out there on the speedway. Ryan Chronister, he is now officially off of the racetrack here. So Chronister has loaded up his ride, took it down behind pit wall. So him and Aaron Spear, potentially 2 drivers down and out of this race here early on this afternoon. Is out in front, continuing to lead the way. That's the gap, first and second, 0.3 of a second between them. Brian Fine trying to hunt him down. This could be the battle for the win, or we could see them having to make another green flag pit stop, and that could be the make or break situation for a lot of these drivers. Could potentially hurt them, could potentially help them. You gotta be perfect down on pit road. Doing it once is easy peasy, but doing it twice sometimes can get a little tougher, especially when it's late in the race. Your strategy has to be on point. Maybe you push the subject, get caught speeding, go through your pit stall, anything that could hinder your performance or your possibility of winning this race. And, one simple mistake could take you out of it in a quick hurry. But having a perfect trip down pit road again could potentially win you this race. So for drivers like Adam Fountain, Brian Fine, Zach Wilson, Al Likens, even Timothy Watson, they really got to be trying to think here what they need to do. Can they make it on fuel? For a driver like Watson, came down pit road on lap number 84. Now he's got to make it about 53 laps on fuel. I don't know if that 28 ride, if they can make it 53. I don't think they can make it that far without having to start to come down pit road here. I think he's going to have to, come down pit lane, and probably, I'm going to say, about the next 10 laps or so. You don't want to wait too late. You want to be able to use those fresh tires to their full extent and be able to make the most out of them out there on the racetrack. If you come down to only 5, 6, even 10 laps left to go, yeah, you're going to have fresh tires, but you're going to have such a gap to try to make up that you may not have enough time to really use them to your full extent and pass as many drivers or gain as much track position as what you wish you could. So coming down with maybe 15, 20 laps left to go in this race could open up that door to make a bunch of extra passes to put yourself even farther forward in the field, and maybe even able to leapfrog some of those other drivers that may have to come down pit road later than you did, and hoping to hold them off out there on the speedway. So we'll have to wait and see who's going to make that move, who's going to end up down pit road, and who's going to be able to try to make it to the end and not have to worry about that fuel saving here this afternoon. As we see Gage Wenzel trying to race his way back up towards the front of the field here. Gage came back out on the racetrack about that 10th position, now making the move around Anthony Ludy. That is the move for position number 7 on the speedway, so Ludy back to 8th. Scott Scheib there in 9th. Dalton Wicker, who started out this afternoon having some tough luck out there on the speedway. Didn't get a great qualifying run, got some early damage on that 77 ride, and he sits back now in that 10th position after getting some repairs, getting that car fixed up, and driving his way now into that 10th position as Jack Simpson back there in 11th. Corey Dank battling there in position number 12 as he's got Dylan Picklesheimer all around him here. Picklesheimer unfortunately going to fall back into 13th here as Justin Hendry there in 14th. Brad Fulham running out our top 15 here on the speedway. Max Koss, Michael Carter, Gavin Grubbs, that number 8, Kent Mueller there in 19th, and rounding out our top 20 is this 84 rider, Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell there in 20th, but he's got Tyler Chronister right there with him. Chronister doing some great racing here and trying to keep our race leaders back there at bay and look to see if he can move this 84 ride around him, and he's going to do just that. So the 99 ride now into the 20th position. Cogswell unfortunately falling backwards here and quickly into the clutches of our race leader, Adam Belton, right there looking to try to put that 84 ride a lap down, but still trying to hold off that 57 of Brian Fine. They still got about a 1.7 second gap between themselves and this 51 rider, Zach Wilson. So Wilson really hasn't been able to close up that gap too much. Hasn't really been able to reel in these drivers at the front of the field here, and we'll have to wait and see if maybe that's just part of his strategy. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve for late in this race. As Sean O'Keefe says, what happened to the back of the 36 ride? Yeah, I don't know what happened to the back end of Gage's ride. We saw that there during the crank it up session. Looks like maybe just a little contact. I don't know if he got into somebody or somebody got into him, but definitely got a little bit of rear end damage. Now I do believe that damage has been fixed. So that 36 car is back into perfectly fine racing condition if they're on the speedway in the tops. Tasty taters, walleye, fish sandwiches. Number 36 ride right back into the thick of things here. Now he's making the move around Timothy Watson. Right there in front of him is that number 1 rider, Michael Sheffield. Sheffield rolls there in position number 5. So for Wenzel, he's just on the outside of a top 5 run here once again this afternoon, trying to make that move, trying to catch up to them. This is a great battle back here for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th on the racetrack, and quickly we're starting to see Dalton Wicker trying to hunt them down as well. So some great racing action here just inside our top 5, top 10 out there on the speedway as Adam Belton continue to lead the way. Now starting to stretch out that lead a little bit here. Brian Fine back about 7/10 of a second here, and unfortunately falling backwards for that 57 as Adam Belton starting to pull back away. Wilson there in 3rd, Al Likens back in 4th. Now they got a pretty sizable gap between themselves and our 5th place driver, about 5 seconds there between Al Likens and Michael Sheffield there on the speedway. So for a driver like Gage Wenzel, man, it's going to take quite a bit. It's going to take him a lot here to try to close that gap and see if he can catch up to Al Likens out there on the speedway. So we'll have to keep an eye on that out there on the speedway. But Belton continues to lead the way, is down across the line, down the back straightaway now. He is already seeing 18 laps left to go, and this is where we can start to see drivers wanting to make some moves down pit side. This is where we can start to see drivers maybe realizing that they can't make it on fuel. They can't make it the rest of the way, or some of them that are still trying to run that fuel strategy game here, trying to save enough fuel, trying to make it to the end here, and maybe trying to get everyone else that has to come down pit side to fall back there behind them, and just being able to leapfrog them by simply staying out there on the speedway and making it across the line there this afternoon. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who's going to be able to make those moves, who's going to be able to make it to the end here on fuel. Maybe everybody can, and I just don't know why they came down pit road what seemed to be so early when they could have came down a little bit later, maybe made some different changes. But virtually we see a lot of these drivers coming down pit side either before lap 88. We see a lot coming down on pit road on lap 88, including our race leaders, 89, 91, some drivers down pit road on 92 and 93 there. So some of these cats definitely, pitting right around that 5-lap marker. Some of them stretching it out a little bit, some of them coming down a little bit earlier. And now you do see the 24 ride of Jack Simpson. Simpson trying to battle here with this 28 ride. They're going to make a little contact. Look out. Oh, baby. Oh, I don't know how Watson didn't go around right there after contact between him and Jack Simpson. But Corey Denk, you'll say thank you very much for that one, as the Tiny Toes Ford is going to steamroll right around both of them and take that 10th position here himself. So now Corey Denk out into position number 10 here, now trying to keep that 24 right of Jack Simpson back there at bay. If drivers start to come down pit side, if these two can make it on fuel, that could have been the pass for the race win here. As Dalton Winker came down pit road on lap 91, Corey came down pit side on lap 92, and Jack Simpson came down pit road on lap 93. Now these guys could potentially try to save that fuel and maybe make it just a little bit farther than everybody else and maybe make it to the end. As we did see at least one driver come back down pit lane. That was the 11 ride here, that caliber collision tied number 11 ride, Chris Sofeld. Sofeld did come down pit side. We did see Chase Abel make another pit stop as well, back on lap 106. So we'll have to wait and see if we start to see a slew of these drivers come down pit road, if they realize that they can't make it any further on fuel. And now they're starting to come into that situation that we talked about, potentially coming down pit lane a little too late, not using those fresh tires to their full extent and being able to gain those positions or anything else out there on the speedway with only 12 laps left to go. It's number 94 ride. He is a rocket ship this afternoon, and Adam Boughton looking to try to put himself up and into victory lane. Now has about a 1.8 second gap between himself and Brian Fine there for position number 2. Zach Wilson there in third. Wilson actually closing in on that 57 ride, starting to catch up to him, but the gap between first and third is about 3 seconds on the racetrack. It's about a second between Wilson and Brian Fine now there on the speedway. 2 seconds back, we do see Al Likens there in 4-5, almost 6 seconds back. We see Gage Wenzel hanging on to position number 5 on the speedway. Michael Sheffield, Anthony Ludy, Dalton Wicker, Scott Scheib, and Corey Dank rounding out our top 10. Jack Simpson back there at 11th with Dylan Picklesheimer there in 12th. Justin Hendry, Timothy Watson, Brad Fulham, our top 15 on the speedway. As Hayes Kev says, Sup just made it for the finish. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Kev. That's what's up, brother. Is you're going to... this is going to be interesting. This is going to be a very, very interesting one. Drivers are going to be very, very tight on fuel, and potentially late race pit stops. Maybe we see a couple late race caution flags, and for some of these drivers that may force their hand down pit road, having to make pit stops, having to get fuel and tires, and trying to get their cars fixed up and ready to rock and roll for what could be some green, white checker finishes here this afternoon. You never know how these races are going to play out. You never know when an issue may arise, as we've been green flag racing here for quite a while, almost 100 laps of green flag racing here this evening, as we got a few early caution flags, had a decent run there until about lap 35-ish or so. Then we saw that caution flag come out for the 7 of Chase Abel. Since that restart, though, it's been clean and green, elbows up racing, and everybody, for the most part, has been trying to hunt down this 94 ride of Boughton. As Hayes Kent says, just ran a bunch of practice with Wyatt for Saturday and Sunday, so watch for us. Let's go, baby. That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear, brother. Hopefully we see you up there battling at the front of the field, just like we see the battling here at the front of the field. It's starting to become less and less of a battle, more and more of a battle of nutrition and fuel mileage here this evening, as Boughton out in front now by almost 3 seconds here. The gap is continuing to grow as Brian Fine tried to hold on to second here. Zach Wilson trying to hunt him down. I know Wilson would love to try to at least jump back up into second here, at least give himself an extra point out there on the racetrack, and stealing that spot away from Brian Fine definitely will make him feel fine out there on the speedway. Al Likens also starting to close the gap on both those drivers. Gage Wenzel back there, he rolls in that 5th position with Michael Sheffield, Wicker, Ludy, Scheib, and Corey Dank in that Tiny Toes ride. They're rounding out our top 10. So a pair of the Tiny Toes machines up inside the top 10 running right now. We'll have to wait and see if they got something up their sleeve for late in this race, and potentially could be fuel mileage. But so far it looks like maybe everybody was able to save some fuel. Maybe everyone was able to come down pit road at the right time and get fuel and make it to the end here, and not having to come down pit side here again this afternoon. As some tight battling right there. Very, very cautious there, trying to roll around the outside of that Peak Menards number 12 right of Grubbs, as our race leader down across the line sees a big high five from our flagman. Only 5 more laps of racing action here from Nashville Super Speedway, as the 94 out in front looking to pick up the checker flag. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're enjoying the show here this evening and you haven't done it already, make sure you guys help us out here. We got 32 viewers over there on the YouTube stream tuning in in and enjoying the show, make sure, as this race comes to a close, hit that like button for us. It's absolutely free to do. It helps us out a ton. Hit that follow, hit that share button, hit that gosh heckin' subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. As out in front, Adam Belton looking to pick up the checker flag as Adam Oxley says mysterious caution. A mysterious caution, I think, is the last thing on the list that this 94 ride wants to see. He wants to see this one continue to stay clean and green. 2.5 second lead between himself and Brian Fine. Fine has the second between himself and Zach Wilson. Wilson has about 0.8 of a second now between himself and Al Likens, as Likens starting to close the gap here and hunting down that 51 machine, but starting to really run out of time as we edge closer and closer to the checker flag here in this one. It's Adam Belton out in front. The Amazon Prime number 94 ride is going to send it down into quarter number 3. Nice and easy down and out of quarter number 4 and back down across the start finish line. He will see only 2 more laps left to go. 2 more laps of racing action here for the AdminBoxx 175 powered by the Hypershift Racing League as Belton down through 1 and out of 2. Continue to hold a sizable lead, a great advantage between himself and Brian Fine. It's almost grown to 3 seconds here. His Fine has some lap traffic in front of him that he's going to have to deal with. Going to have to try to work his way through. Unfortunately, that will hold him up even more. Is back down across the line. We will see that white flag fly. So one more time around here for Adam Belton. Is Belton looking to pick up a big win here from Nashville Super Speedway in the AdminBoxx 175 here this evening as he heads down the back straightaway for the final time here this evening. The next flag will end this race no matter what. No late race caution flags will steal this one away from the 94 as he rolls down through 3 and out of 4 for the final time here in Nashville. It's Adam Belton who picks up the checkered flag here this evening. Belton able to get it done and get the win here in the AdminBoxx 175 powered by 213 Simware and Hypershift Racing League. Belton gets it done. A dominant performance here. This car came to life. Once he got out in front, there was no stopping him here this evening, and now he's going to be able to celebrate. He's going to be able to party hardy here this evening in Nashville as everyone up on their feet cheering on this number 94 machine, and he's going to get ready to burn it down here in Nashville, Tennessee. As man, what a run and what a drive for Adam Belton here this afternoon, man. What a drive, what a performance out of him, being able to pick up this checkered flag. We'll get ready to pull our top 3 up here into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews as Belton picking up the dub, man. What a run, what a drive. He's going to celebrate down on the front straight away. Here he goes down into corner number 1 here. Going to celebrate a little bit more and continue to just burn down the house here this afternoon, man. This 94 ride hooked up, checked out, and for Brian Fine, he was right there for a little bit. Unfortunately, couldn't get back to the rear bumper of this 94 ride. For Zach Wilson, able to lead early on in this race. Gonna feel like one that maybe he gave away here this afternoon, but man, oh man, oh man, what a run. As Cody Tarrant says, brother, man, I bet you could nail a World of Outlaw sprint car intro. Love the intensity. Brother, trust me, I could definitely nail it. We actually have a video that got shared by Dirt Car for their Big Block Modified intro. We were able to nail that. They shared it over there on their channel on Facebook and stuff. So that was always really cool. That was really neat, really awesome to do that. But yeah, dirt track racing, it's what I grew up doing. That's what I started doing here for broadcasting. And man, oh man, oh man, oh man, we love to do the dirt track racing, but the pay the bills, you know, we gotta be in here doing all sorts of things, all different types of racing, and always seeing some great racing action here on NASCAR as well. And listen, I would love to bring my voice, bring the intensity, bring that enthusiasm into the world of NASCAR as well, and continue to drive the sport, whether it's real life racing or if it's here on the simulator as well, to top notch out there on the speedway. No matter what, whether it's virtual or real life, we bring in each and every single race as these drivers put on one heck of a show for us. But it's Adam Belton who's able to pick up the checkered flag and pull that 94 up and into victory lane, and we'll get ready to pull pull him in to the broadcast booth for his post-race interview. Post-race interview is about to come right at you here in just a few more moments. Let's jump up into the Discord here and pull our top 3 in for their post-race interviews this afternoon. As Aaron says, hope to talk to you in the booth here soon. Bad luck for us in the 96 this year. Yeah, Aaron, you have had some very, very tough luck. Some bad breaks out there on the speedways. My boy Haynes Kev says, night, man. See you Saturday. See you Saturday, Kev. See you Saturday, brother. Hopefully, we'll see you right up here on the broadcast booth yourself. As here we go. Our race leader, Adam Belton, down in victory lane. Let's pull him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Adam, it's Aaron up here on the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, I do.
Adam, man, what a run, what a race. It took you a little while to find your way to the front of the field, but once you got there, there was no one going to take you back out of it as you were able to just pull away there, open up a pretty sizable lead through those green flag pit stops, able to hit them perfectly there, able to make sure that you keep your car pointing in the right direction, no caution flags to bust that whole game plan up, and seeing this race go clean and green for virtually the final 100 laps of this race, and you were able to just run the tire strategy, run that fuel strategy to perfection and pull yourself up and into the Nashville Speedway victory lane.
Yeah, we had a pretty good car. We botched it badly in qualifying, though. Wasn't expecting the 1 lap qualifying, so that was a lobby mess up on my part as part of the administrative team. But it definitely shook the starting lineup up a little bit. So we had to claw our way back from start, I think 10th, I think. So it took a little bit, but the car seemed, after about 20-25 laps, the car just came in and seemed like it was on a rail. We had that string of cautions there, which set up a pretty straightforward fuel run at the end. Pretty much had to run it dry to make it to the end. So that's what I did, and I was able to get on and off pit road cleanly, and just took it easy a little bit, let the tires come in a little bit, and then after that, it was just smooth sailing, just picking through the lap traffic here and there, and overall had a great car tonight and solid finish to top it off.
Absolutely. Well, the fuel is definitely a little bit questionable out there. We seen guys come down pit road after, just over 40 laps or so during that first little bit of green flag run after our last caution flag around lap 35, 36, and then, it seemed like maybe it was going to be very, very tight for a lot of you guys, and potentially seeing, you guys have to make that additional pit stop later on, but luckily enough, you're able to get there right at the end, not run out of fuel, man. But how tight was it, man? Could you have made it potentially, a green-white checkered, or would you have to have come down pit side there late in this race?
Well, I would have if I had enough for at least one green flag or green white checkered. But if the caution would have came out, everybody was coming for tires at that point. But the fuel run was about 52 laps, and so that way that last run set essentially split it in half, and you were pretty much golden on fuel. I had about 3.5 laps there at the end, so we were set for green white checkered if need be, but we were also had plenty of fuel to make it to the end.
Beauty. Lots of fuel, some good tires out there, and a very fast race car, as we did see Brian Fine put a little pressure on you there in that final run. He was able to close that gap and get back to your rear bumper where you're getting a little bit nervous there. Maybe Fine found something and was going to battle you there for that race win, and if he maybe got in front of you, that he might have been able to pull away and put himself into victory lane here this evening and not yourself.
I was getting a little worried because I know I was letting the tires come in very slowly because my car took about 15 to 20 laps to really come in, and I noticed that he was chopping away about 1 to 2 tenths every lap. But as soon as my car came in, it pretty much stabilized the gap, and then I think he pushed a little too hard there at the beginning, and started fading at the end where I was able to just start pulling away a little bit there, and the car really never fell off a cliff like some others did.
Yeah, absolutely. He fell back there just over 3 seconds between each other there across the line as you were able to breathe easy in our closing laps and not have that pressure on your back bumper, and you were able to drive across the line here first at Nashville Super Speedway. Adam, who would you like to thank, man, for such a great run and strong performance capturing tonight's victory in the AdminBoxx 175?
I'll give a shout out to you for putting on a great show with the broadcast. Shout out to my Revolution Motorsports teammates. A couple of us got to finish in the top 10 with Ludi finishing P8. Michael Carter getting a P14 after a slight incident, and Kent getting 18th there. But overall, we had a pretty decent speed, or showing at least. Got to work a little bit more on the long run speed for the rest of the team, but I think we're slowly coming around there and getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. Team's definitely getting there. Everything's starting to take shape, and through the middle portion of our season now, and obviously playoffs kind of on the horizon, trying to make sure that you and the rest of your team are on point for those playoffs. And here tonight, you're able to pick up another win, have another strong showing, and try to earn those extra bonus points here towards those playoffs as well, man. You got to be pretty excited knowing that you're going to be a contender and a tough, fierce battler here for our championship here this year.
Yeah, well, we gotta keep being consistent and try to get as many points as we can, because with the way the chase is, the more bonus points you have, that can make or break the chase if you have a bad race or not. But we're just gonna keep trying to keep the consistency up. We're starting to gain a little bit momentum here. We're heading to Iowa, especially with Iowa next week. One of my favorite short tracks that we run. So I'm looking forward to try to keep the momentum up for next week as well.
Alrighty, well, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack, Adam, and maybe trying to make it 2 in a row for the 94 Ryan, man. Congrats on the great run. Congrats on the checkered flag here this evening, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in Victory Lane in the broadcast booth again next Thursday.
Thank you.
You enjoy the rest of your night, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
Yeah, you do the same.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Adam Boughton as Boughton picks up the checkered flag and pulls himself up and into victory lane here this afternoon. Boughton, a great run there, able to get the job done here this afternoon as the driver coming home in second here. It is that number 57 to Brian Fine. Fine coming home there in position number 2. Let's pull him up into the broadcast booth and hear from our second place driver on the afternoon. Hey, Brian, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Hey, buddy. Long time no see.
It's been about a week now, hasn't it, brother? As you were able to pick up the win last week, you tried to back it up with another win here tonight. Unfortunately, fall one spot shy, but still coming home with a very solid second-place run here in Nashville, man. Take us back through this race, as that 57 ride really looked like it had some good speed in it there for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, the short run and the long run was real good. Practice, I was struggling a little bit thanks to my guys at RTR. We kind of worked on some things, and when we got in the race trim, this thing was a rocket ship. It worked out. I love this track. Nashville's been really good to me. The dirty air just sucked. Getting behind Adam, I got tight, I got loose. It was just awful.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw you closing the gap there, chasing him down there late in this race, and it seemed like once he kind of got about 3/10 or so behind him, just that car just couldn't get any closer. He couldn't find that extra gear, that little bit of extra speed he needed to put the pressure right through his back bumper, try to make that move to get around him here late in the race. And then obviously seemed like you were pushing that car, maybe starting to fall off there just a little bit, and his car starting to come to life there on that long run, and unfortunately he was able to just pull away here and cruise control to victory lane as you were able to hang on for a solid second place run.
Yeah, I mean, the car was extremely well. Adam was really good on the long run. The guy to watch for was Al. That guy was a rocket ship, trying to watch him in the mirror and figure out what was going on. But no, man, I mean, it was great. It was fun. Congrats to everybody tonight. It was a blast.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about out there on the speedway, having some fun, having a good time here on the simulator, and enjoying your day here. Have fun on a Thursday afternoon. As Brian, you park it back up here on the podium. A solid second place drive here this evening, brother. Who would you like to thank again this week for such a great drive out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, shout out to my wife and my daughter for letting me come play with the boys on Thursdays. Shout out to you. You're doing a fantastic job. I love the broadcast. My teammates over here at RTR Motorsports, we had a slow start at the beginning of the year, but it's starting to cling back up. Fast times, polls, all that jazz, all the admins, all the sponsors here. I'm going to go ahead and crack me open a fine beer and celebrate.
Absolutely, brother. Well, enjoying that fine beer, or drink responsibly, and we'll see you back out there on the racetrack next Thursday, and maybe right back up here in the broadcast booth.
Yes, sir. Have fun.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Brian Fine. As Fine coming home there in position number 2. Solid run, solid drive there for that 57 run. And now we'll get ready to pull in our third place finisher, our third place competitor here this afternoon. It was our pole sitter here this evening, the driver that led the opening first 40 plus laps of this race. Unfortunately, fell back a little bit there and just could not race his way back to the front here. It's Zach Wilson. Wilson coming home here in position number 3. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Zach, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Taking a copy.
What's up, Aaron?
Not much, Zach, man. Another strong run, another great performance for you, man, as we saw you obviously qualify in that pole position. You lead the first 40-plus laps of this race, but then you kind of fell back there a little bit into a battle there for, third, fourth, fifth position for quite a little while. It didn't seem like you could race your way back up to the front once you kind of got into that dirty air, and unfortunately, you just couldn't quite rebound and drive yourself back to the front here this afternoon as you had to settle in for another podium run, another third-place finish nonetheless on the evening.
Yeah, I can't be upset with the day. We led practice, led qualifying, started off the race really well, just got a little greedy, car got loose, and had a big slide, kind of killed the tires for that run, so it was really hard to drive forward once we got back in the dirty air there. And Adam, he was a rocket ship tonight, and so was my teammate Brian, so tried to make up quite a bit on that last green flag stop, and I think we were able to jump 2 positions on the green flag stop and just maintained it all the way to the finish. But overall, it was a good night, great points night. So that's all we can ask for. We have 2 wins in our pockets, but wins don't mean anything with this playoff system we have here. So just trying to get up and maintain a good points position for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, getting those points, having these good solid runs all season long definitely help you in your hunt for the championship here this year after another strong performance, a great run, and a great rebound after what was a awful start to last week's race. Obviously some tough luck there at the road course at Daytona, and unfortunately, not the finish you wanted there, but you were able to back it up with a great run here in Nashville, man. Take us back kind of through what was going on there last week to this week, and how different, going from the, road course racing is to jumping in here to the oval racing again on the simulator.
Yeah, I was upset about last week. I thought we had a pretty fast car there. Brian and I was going to have a lot of fun with that. I really enjoy that road course, but just some hardware issues with the PC. A recent update kind of changed some things and froze on me and kicked me out of the session. So I had to take, I think I got last place or next to last place points. But all in all, it was a good rebound coming back into this week, getting back more to our natural sort of stuff, making left-hand turns around here. So overall, it was just a really good night. Can't wait to go on to Iowa next week. It should be a really good track for us as well.
Yeah, Iowa definitely going to be a blast. Going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys battle out there in Iowa. But here tonight in Nashville, man, it was a lot of fun as well as a lot of green flag laps. There were a couple early caution flags, but then that long green flag run, we see guys duke it out here. Elbows up, racing, door-to-door action out there on the speedway. And Zach, you're able to back it up with a third-place run, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great run and great drive out there on the speedway?
Yeah, just big shout out to all my RTR teammates. We all had good finishes tonight. Sheffield here in the top 10. The other 2 cars were in the top 15 with Justin Hendry and Brad Fulham. So big shout out to those guys. Overall, just a great night as a team. A huge shout out to the league. Thanks for everybody putting everything together and putting everything on. And you, Aaron, for a great broadcast.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Zach, great run, great drive, another podium finish for you here tonight, man, and we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Thursday, and maybe right back up here in the broadcast booth, maybe a couple of spots better, and back up into victory lane yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Zach Wilson as Wilson coming home in position number 3 here this evening. Wilson with a great run and a great drive out there on the racetrack as the 51 coming home there in that 3rd position, rounding out our podium here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that's going to do it for the racing action here this evening on Peacemaker Gaming. But if you guys enjoyed that battling, if you guys enjoyed that racing action, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. Become part of a ever-growing Peacemaker family here over on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch as we live stream to all 3 channels every single night of the week. We're always up here in the booth bringing you a non-stop amazing racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming, and we can't wait to see you guys back in here tomorrow night as we head back to the dirt track with the Dirt Warrior Racing League for their Wednesday night, their trinity of racing action over the week, man, and we can't wait to see them back out there on the racetrack duking it out, battling, and having some fun out there on the speedway. And we'll hopefully see each and every one of you right back up in the grandstands cheering those drivers on and enjoying some of the dirt track racing, some of the other leagues here that we broadcast here on Peacemaker Gaming. But we'll see you guys then. We'll see you guys here tomorrow, or we'll see you guys back in here next Thursday for the Hypershift Racing League as they'll be back in action 1 week from today. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all later. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love. See y'all later. Woo! What a run. What a race, man. That was a lot of fun.
Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's light. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Rubber burning, engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fight. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room